Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this video, we're going to be focusing on how to destroy Malenia as a faith build. As promised with my last video, we're going to show the strategy to go about this if you want to do a whole bunch of fire damage to her. And I'm just showing right here what journey we're on, by the way. We are on New Game Plus 7. She's got around 26,000 HP. Let's get into the fight and go over the details. So going into this fight with this specific strategy, we're going to use Burno Flame and 2 of the giant seals. Now, as far as the giant seal goes, if you just have one, you can use a jellyfish shield in your offhand to get completely comparable damage. Now, I'm going to simplify this fight a little bit to make it easier for you, but the strategy here is that Burno Flame does a lot of damage to her because she has 0 fire resistance, and on top of that, it knocks her down as well, which means you can cast it several times on her to do chunk damage. Basically, the strategy here is to go up to her, use Burno Flame. By the way, this took all of 3 tries in total, which really wasn't bad. And the first time I went in, I actually went in with a heavy equipment load because I ended up messing up my talismans. I had Erdtree's Favor, removed it. Long story short, I ended up with a heavy equipment load. And after figuring that out, it only took 2 more tries after that. You want to get close to her, cast Burno Flame, and then you can use something like Kukri or any of the throwing knives if you want to bait her waterfowl just to make sure she does it at least once. And then after that, you can do more damage to her with Burno Flame and consistently knock her down. That's the strategy. I actually had made a mistake when I was messing around with talismans and forgot to have the Godfrey icon active. That'll give you 15% more damage. I will show that when I show equipment later. And after this fight is over, essentially the first part of the fight, make sure if you have a chance, rebuff yourself because it's going to make the second phase of the fight very, very easy. Simply for the fact that I know she's going to end up using waterfowl at the end here. I do get a little bit lucky on this one, but usually most of the time the last cast is something that's going to be relatively easy for you. Now, in the second phase, the main concept is going to be so much easier in the sense that you're going to be able to stun lock her because she's going to give us that window and that opportunity to do so. After Scarlet Oania, which she's going to direct towards you, you can dodge it last minute or whatever, however you go about dodging that. For me, last minute tends to work pretty well. You're going to go up and you're going to cast Burno Flame as many times as you possibly can because she only has a couple moves here that give her hyper armor, so she's going to consistently, most of the time, be knocked down. You can basically stun lock her in this phase and make the second phase even easier than the first. Basically, putting up fire pillars everywhere using Burno Flame is going to just do a ton of damage. Again, she has 0 fire resistance. She's going to take a ton of damage from Burno Flame, and most of the time, by the time she gets up, you're going to be knocking her back down again, and Malenia, even on New Game Plus 7, is going to be an easy fight. That's the end of her there. That wasn't too difficult at all. I know I mentioned a couple things repeatedly, but there's not a lot to this strategy as far as this goes. It's pretty much going to be Burno Flame, knocking her down consistently and absolutely destroying her. If you add additional buffs like poison procking and such, you can even get her in a couple casts of Burno Flame and then consistently just absolutely destroy her with ease. Let's get into buffs, build, and stats. First things first, we're going to drink our tier, which has the fire and faith or defense tier. Then we're going to cast Golden Vow because they're the 2 longer duration things. Then we're going to use Hellish Shabriri for an additional 25% generic damage. Then we can cast Burno Flame for a lot of damage on Malenia. For any boss, neutral, or weak to fire, this actually works well on Radagon as well. Let's get into equipment. This awesome setup, we had 2 giant seals and Burno Flame. Obviously, we were rocking the Blasphemous Blade as well, and then the Crucible Knife set. Fire, Scorpion Charm. Godfrey icon, which I didn't have on and probably should have because it would have done 15% more damage. Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Ritual Swords Talisman. Then we have the fire and then the faith or defense tier to make this a really powerful build. Let's get into stats for this one. So for stats for this build, we're heavily invested into faith. Now we have a little bit of strength so you can use the Blasphemous Blade as well, but we have around 65 faith. If you use the faith tier, you can end up with 75 faith and you can get a lot of damage out of Burno Flame, especially when using 2 seals or in combination with the Jellyfish Shield. That's everything for stats. Make sure you're using Golden Vow and Hellish Shabriri for an additional 40% generic damage in total. And then at the end here, I'm just going to show a clip of me throwing giant fireballs at this tree avatar while I talk about the ending. Malenia can be quite tough. She can be really difficult to face, but certain strategies like this one can make your life a lot easier. If you're using Burno Flame, you can get a lot of damage out. If you want to add buffs, I think I mentioned this before, like poison procking and such, you can get even more damage, even go crazy and go low health procking. You can get even more damage with that too with the Red Feathered Brand Sword. Now, I wanted to state real quick at the end here, if you're not on the Discord, definitely be sure to join that if you need any additional help. And if you're not subbed and you love overpowered PvE builds, be sure to check out all the awesome builds that are on my channel. There's like an entire library there now. Thanks for watching, And as always, I will catch you guys there.